News 8 at 5 starts now.
We must hear the anguished cries of our black neighbors. To my fellow residents in the city of Indianapolis, I want to say, you should be listening to those words, too.
Modernizing police standards in Indianapolis. Tonight, city leaders announced they've submitted new use of force policies for review ahead of another weekend of anticipated protests. And protesters are already gathering at Monument Circle. You can see a couple dozen of them right there on the circle. But in a few hours, Mayor Joe Hogsett's curfew order will take effect.
8 o'clock and on Monday, the City County Council plans to introduce a resolution declaring racism as a public health crisis in Marion County. We've got team coverage for you tonight. Let's get right to News 8's Aaliyah Hodges. And when does IMPD plan to implement these new policies, Aaliyah?
Well, Police Chief Randall Taylor hopes to have these new policies in effect as soon as possible. Mayor Hogsett says the draft has 8 points they are addressing to better protect citizens. Revised policies for IMPD comes after protests have sparked in the city and after a video gone viral of officers using force on 2 women at curfew Sunday night. Mayor Hogsett says the new policies include updates to standards and using deadly force by giving warnings and more training on de-escalation guidelines.
This new policy clearly specifies rules for using various levels of less lethal force. This change contains principles consistent with the continuum of force principles that are currently being discussed nationally, and we believe will lead to better outcomes for our officers and better outcomes for our community as a whole.
The chokehold technique has never been allowed and will remain banned. These policies will be available for the public for review soon.
In the coming weeks, and with community engagement, with neighborhoods, with faith leaders, with city county councilors, I have asked our Civilian Police Merit Board to provide recommendations as to what modernizations should be implemented.
The Indianapolis mayor has also been working with the group Faith in Indiana on police reform. Hogsett says he will provide them with more funding for group violence intervention next year.
That will bring additional staff and resources to bear in an effort to interrupt the cycle of hopelessness, the cycle of violence that has gripped far too many of our young people.
Right now, the IMPD General Orders Committee is reviewing the draft. We will have that draft on our website, WishTV.com. Reporting live in downtown, I'm Aaliyah Hodges, Wish TV for WishTV.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Aaliyah, thank you. Clergy with Faith in Action are among those who called on the mayor to implement reforms. This afternoon, they talked about what that actually means.
Today is the result of several days, weeks, months, and years of planning. So we're encouraged by it, but we're not done with it. So this is one of those days where we can kind of, tip our hats, so to speak, but there's still a great amount of work that needs to be done.
Faith in Action is the organization that marched on Sunday from the State House to the City County building.
4 IMPD officers seen in the viral video Aaliyah mentioned are now on desk duty. Our Richard Essex captured it on Facebook on Sunday. You can see officers using batons and pepper balls to subdue 2 women. Investigators are looking at officers' conduct and why they used the force. We asked Chief Taylor about the video today. He said he hopes the victims come forward to give an official statement.
Now, I will admit, looking at that video, I had concerns as well, and I can promise that regardless of the outcome of that investigation, we will be looking at a retrain to that type of scenario.
Chief Taylor said he will not release the names of the officers yet. He hopes to have results from the investigation by next week. And Mayor Hogsett also reinstated a countywide curfew order beginning tonight. News 8's Julia Dang is live downtown with more on that. Julia, good evening.
Hey there, Kylie. You noted the crowd already gathering behind me here. Beginning in about 3 hours, downtown will likely look very different. Marion County will be under a curfew order again from 8 p.m. until 6 tomorrow morning, and then again on Saturday night. The mayor hopes to avoid a repeat of last weekend with this executive order. We watched as demonstrations downtown turned violent last week, escalating into looting, rioting, arson, and vandalism. 2 people were shot and killed downtown last Saturday. Now, we didn't see anything like that after the mayor implemented a countywide curfew on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But even without a curfew the last 2 nights, protests have been largely peaceful. And today, Mayor Joe Hogsett was asked if he would join law-abiding protesters.
I'm absolutely open to joining them in the coming days in a sign of solidarity. And it would be my hope that in that moment I can continue to listen and then act on their behalf.
Now, violating the curfew order is a misdemeanor. You could be punished with up to 180 days in jail. The exemptions remain unchanged, and you can find a list on wishtv.com. Enforcement does appear to be discretionary. The assistant IMPD chief indicated earlier today that they likely would not break up a nonviolent protest, even if it is after curfew. And stay with Wish TV. We'll have more from him coming up in our next hour. For now, live downtown, Julia Dang, Wish TV and wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
Julia, thank you.